The
Mhm.
Confederate movement and those who have bought into that, I think, still envision this three-tier citizenship.
Well, I don't disagree that they hold to that, and I would say the majority of Americans are comfortable with that.
Mhm.
I would
The
say the
majority of white
majority.
Americans.
Well, yeah, I would say the majority of Americans are comfortable with that.
If you said, so you said the majority of the Americans are comfortable with a citizenship that where whites are supreme and indentured servants are people of color primarily,
Hmm.
and then people are owned by naturalized white people are where black people stand. You're saying majority of Americans in all
Yes,
races agree
yes,
with that. So blacks would
and I would say,
prefer.
but not the owning part,
The only part is
but
pre-14th Amendment.
yeah, but the owning part is uh, what I would say is the owning part is the industrialization of the I mean, of the prison population, of the mentality of the criminal justice system. I would say that there's something more insidious and more deceptive or subtle. It's not outright owning,
But I think
but
that
it
that was the
but it's the
prior
next evolution
to,
of it.
well, see, I think that you saying that they would be, the Confederate ideology is the three-tier.
Well, I mean, it could be
So
three tier,
blacks,
but it didn't have to look this. It
people,
didn't have to be the same thing. It didn't have to be outright slavery. It could be just subjugation of people. If you subjugate me and doesn't give me the same freedoms that you have, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, that's a
well,
form
see,
of slavery.
the idea of dehumanization.
Yes, that's
So,
what it is.
but the 13th Amendment, those three amendments, especially the 13th Amendment, took away some of the rights to dehumanize. So it automatically gave some people human value. And I don't think the Confederate ideology endorses human value being given to black people.
Well, yes, to a certain extent.
That is
Now,
not to a certain
okay,
extent.
and I would say this. Okay, no, and I would say this. They even before the 13th Amendment, they believe that Africans were human. They just didn't think they were as valuable as human.
No, I didn't.
Just okay, but in a general sense, because they in the Constitution it was written that we were 3/5 of a human.
Right,
And
but
and so there was, and I could argue that they're not trying to overturn the 13th Amendment. They're not trying to bring back slavery, even though that some would accept it. But that's not what I'm talking about. The majority of America. I'm talking about the majority of Americans are okay with white supremacy. I would say and I would say this from people of color to non-people of color, if you will. Non-people of color come into this country thinking that I am inferior because of my skin color, and so therefore they think that they, like you said before, Asian Americans wanted to be identified as white because they have an ideology of white supremacy. They have an ideology of because my skin color is a certain hue that somehow I'm inferior, that God has made me inferior to them.
here's
That's
the
a
deal.
and so therefore they will go along with being second class citizens as long as they have someone under them, me.
I would say there most of that ideology, if you talk to people who are away from this country or people who are in this country and understand what they've been told, that the power grid, the power structure is that proximity to whiteness offers privilege and value. So the American dream comes with that whiteness. So whether you're better or not, if you go to other countries, there are different hierarchies that determine a person's value, and skin color is not always one of them based on which country you go to.